Cowboy Logic, Season 2, Episode 10, You Can't Ride Bitter. There's a point in every rider's life where the horse they're on just won't move. You can dig in your heels and you can pull in the reins and you can sit there all day long. But a bitter horse won't take you anywhere. I'm Ann Dunbar, and this is Cowboy Logic. Today we're talking about the choice nobody warned you about. The one that comes after you've already lost everything. Experience teaches what words can't. You can read every book about ranching, and you can watch every video and talk to every expert, but until you felt the cold bite through your gloves at 4 a.m. while trying to save a calf, you don't really know. Until you've made the mistakes, until you've felt the consequences, and until you've lived through the hard parts, you only have information, not wisdom. Wisdom comes from the places where theories meets reality and reality wins. And some of the hardest wisdom I've ever earned came from a question I had to answer when I had nothing left. What are you going to do with this? Not with the grief and not with the loss, with the bitterness that was sitting right there, waiting to move in. In the span of a few years, I lost my husband, my father, and finally my brother. Three of the most important people in my life gone. And just when I thought I was finding my footing again, my body decided it had its own agenda. I was diagnosed with a chronic illness, the kind that doesn't show on the outside but changes everything on the inside. Conditions that are invisible to everyone around you and relentless to the person living inside them. Unpredictable, exhausting. The kind of thing where you can wake up feeling fine and an hour later your body just says, nope, no warning. No explanation, just done. And I was facing all of it largely alone. No husband, father, or brother, no one left to call when things got hard. Won't lie to you, there were days that loneliness was the heaviest thing I carried, heavier than the grief and heavier than the illness. Just this vast, aching quiet where a whole family used to be. Bitterness would have been easy. It would have made complete sense. But here's what I learned about bitterness. It doesn't just sit quietly in the corner. It moves in, it takes over, and it poisons everything it touches. And most importantly, it doesn't change a single thing that happened to you. So, I held on to hope instead. Not because I had evidence it would work. Some days I had absolutely none. I held on to hope because it was the only horse left in the barn. And then something started happening. People started showing up. I have a cousin who is more like a sister. She's far away and can't just knock on my door when she wants to. But she has never let distance be an excuse. She shows up in ways that she can, consistently, quietly, and the kind of person who reminds you that you are known and loved even when the world feels empty. But it wasn't just her. There were days I went out in public feeling so sick and so invisible and so utterly worn down that I could barely recognize myself. Feeling ugly and feeling unwanted and feeling like I had somehow become invisible to the world. And a stranger would look at me and tell me I was beautiful. Not a friend with a reason to say it. Not someone who knew my story. Just a stranger with nothing to gain who saw me on one of my worst days and said, "You look beautiful today." I can't explain that, and I'm not going to try. And then there was the loneliness. the specific, crushing loneliness of a quiet house and a silent phone. There were nights I would just look up and I mean literally look up and say, I am lonely. Not a formal prayer and not eloquent in any way, just honest. And the phone would ring. A friend I hadn't spoken to in weeks, calling out of nowhere just to check in, just to say they were thinking of me. Or a friend would say, I'm stopping by, not asking, not scheduling, just showing up at my door because something told them to. You do that enough times, you stop calling them coincidences, and I'd look up again. That same look, not quite a prayer and not quite a smirk. Just, so you heard me. You can't ride bitter. You can feel it. Lord knows you can feel it. Some season it's the most honest emotion you have, but you can't build a life on it. You can't create from it, and you can't love from it, and you can't heal from it. Bitterness will tell you that hope is knave, that wanting more is foolish, and that after everything you've been through, you should know better than to believe things can change. Don't listen, because hope isn't knave. Hope is an act of defiance. It's looking at everything that tried to break you and saying, not today. It's being so lonely you say it out loud to the ceiling and then answering the phone when it rings. It's letting a stranger's kindness land instead of brushing it off. It's staying open, staying available, and staying soft enough that good things can still find you. If you're in the middle of something hard right now, if life has been unfair in ways you never saw coming, you don't have to pretend it's okay. But don't let bitterness move in. Pay attention to who shows up, because they will. Today's cowboy logic is this: you can't ride bitter. So, when everything else falls away, and when the losses stack up and the road gets hard, and you're not sure what's left to hold on to, stay open, pay attention, and remember, some days hope is the only horse you've got. Ride it anyway. Thanks for riding along. I'll see you next week.